Welcome back to Stanley Boy Reviews. I'm your host, Stanley. Thank you guys so much for checking out my channel and taking the time to be here. We are on my 10th video, you guys. I don't know what that means entirely, but according to YouTube, this is a milestone. So, thanks for being here. We are done with themes. March is just March. We are going to be talking today about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022, which is a direct sequel to 1974's cult classic directed by Tobe Hooper. Before I get into it, I just want to remind you guys, I'm so grateful for all of you that are watching, so please take the time to subscribe. If you do happen to be my 200th subscriber, I will send you a gift. Yes, I am at the point where I'm bribing people to subscribe. So once I am notified of my 200th subscriber, I will ask you for your address and I will send you a cute little gift. It might be a Blu-ray, it might be a vinyl, it might be a letter showing my gratitude with a gift card, I don't know. I am so grateful to have as many subscribers as I do, and I just want to keep doing this, and I feel like the more subscribers I have, the more fun this will be, and that's that. So, go have a seat. I'm gonna have a seat. We are going to dissect the out of this requel, because that's where we're at in life. We are done with sequels, we're done with prequels, we're done with remakes. We have moved on to requels, which I will define for you in a moment, because I don't even think I quite understand it. I'm exhausted actually, so I think I need a nap.
Is that you? I'm going to twist your back like mine, so you'll never get out of bed again. Never get out of bed again! Never get out of bed again!
Alright, you guys, so Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3... Wait, what movie were we talking about? No, I don't even know where I am. We're actually talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. But I want to notate that Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974 is one of my top 10, maybe one of my top 5 favorite horror films. It's got that weird, scary, dangerous 1970s vibe that a lot of movies never really were able to capture again. Like Halloween, the original Black Christmas. I think that those are the only 2 other horror films that I can think of off the top of my head that are just as scary. And like most popular horror films, these movies got franchised. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre ended up getting 3 sequels. It got a remake, it got a prequel to that remake, it got a reboot, and then it got a prequel to that reboot. And after 2017's Leatherface, which was complete garbage, there were supposed to be 5 more sequels, but since it was such a failure, it ended up getting none of those sequels. So cut to early 2019, Fede Alvarez, I don't think I'm saying his name right, but he was the man behind 2013's Evil Dead remake, which I actually really enjoyed. He was hired to produce a new film in the Texas Chainsaw universe. In 2020, it was discovered that it would be a direct sequel to the 1974 cult classic. And this was after the success of David Gordon Green's Halloween 2018. So it was only a matter of time that another famous horror villain would get the requel treatment. For those of you who are not aware, a requel is this. Chris Thomas Devlin would be hired to write it, and a pair of brothers named Ryan and Andy Tohill would be hired to direct it, and filming would take place in Bulgaria. I don't know anything today. Either way, they would not last. They would actually get replaced by David Blue Garcia, and everything that they filmed would get completely trashed and would remain unused. This movie would not get a theatrical release. Remember when things were sent direct to DVD or direct to VHS? So yeah, Texas Chainsaw 2022 would get the direct to VHS treatment on February 18th, 2022. And that's where we are now. I saw the trailer. I was pretty pumped. You know, especially after realizing that it was going to be a direct sequel. I really liked Halloween 2018, and I really loved Scream 2022. With that being said, I really loved the first film. I'm a big fan, and I even really like the second film. It's got a weird comedy aspect to it, but I dig it. The third film is forgettable. The Next Generation that has Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger. It is famous for having those two stars having it removed from their resumes, but it's a blast, and I have a really big soft spot for it. And those who have seen it probably agree that it's a lot of fun. The 2003 remake with Jessica Biel is gold, and it's probably one of the best remakes and one of the best horror films to ever be released to the world. The prequel to that is fine. Texas Chainsaw 3D is okay. It's not great, but that also was to serve as a direct sequel to the original. But it's fine. It's not terrible. And then there was the prequel to that movie, Leatherface. And that movie is pretty terrible. And that brings us to this. I found myself liking little bits and pieces of it. At the end of it, I found myself just not loving it as much as I wanted to love it. There was certain things that I wanted from it that I didn't get. And I guess we should just get to the plot. There are 4 kids, teens, young adults, whatever. We don't really get an age stamp on any of these characters. There is Melody, her sister Lila, Melody's friend or partner Dante, and then his girlfriend Ruth. And they are young entrepreneurs who have purchased a ghost town called Harlow in the middle of nowhere, Texas. They have a bus full of rich people from all over coming to buy little parts of this town. But there is a little orphanage that is still inhabited by a woman named Jenny, who is played by Alice Krige, who is a genre vet. We love her. We have seen her in Sleepwalkers. We've seen her in Silent Hill, Gretel and Hansel, Star Trek. She's all over the place. We love this woman. And she's probably the best part of this movie. It's sad that she's not in it enough, but they realize that she's not supposed to be there and they have to get rid of her. And in doing so, they realize that she has been housing Leatherface for who knows how long, since the last movie ended, since who knows. We don't even know how Leatherface got there, but he has been living with her for however many years. In evicting her, they also evict him. This sets off a chainsaw of events. It unleashes the beast within, and Leatherface finds his old chainsaw, and it awakens the beast, and he goes on a killing spree, and we have a movie. That's the first 20 minutes of the movie, and the next 60 minutes is Leatherface chopping people the fuck up. I will give this movie this much. This is the first chainsaw film that I have seen that actually gives the title a justice. I mean, all the movies prior are pretty bloody. Aside from the first film is practically bloodless. It's famous for going for a PG rating and being practically without any blood. But this movie is the first one that features an actual massacre. There is a portion where Leatherface goes on the bus with his chainsaw and just tears everybody to pieces. So I will say that there is an actual massacre featured, and I will give it a whole point for that. The effects in this movie are astounding. They're really, really good. However, the acting in this film is all over the place. I really wanted to like the 2 lead girls. They just didn't have any chemistry. The actresses portraying the girls are basically cardboard cutouts of actors playing girls. They were both kind of annoying. They tried to give one of the characters some backstory. She apparently survived a school shooting or something, but they didn't even bother going into any more detail. They kind of just tell you that and then leave it at that. You really want to root for the final girls in these movies. You just don't. You just don't care about the characters, and I just didn't give a fuck about anybody in this movie. I really wanted Leatherface just to pick up the chainsaw and get some done, and that's bad. In the Friday the 13th movies, you want Jason to kill everybody. In these movies, and in like the Scream films and the Halloween films, you kind of want some of them to live. At least I do. In this movie, I just wanted everybody to die. I think that the actors portraying these parts could have made some different choices. And that brings me to some of the plot holes. I wanted to know how and why Leatherface ended up in Harlow. I could have been given a flashback sequence, and I could have been really happy with that. I wanted to know why Leatherface ended up in the hands of Jenny, the orphanage lady, how she tamed him. I wanted to know a lot of things, and I didn't get that. This movie is only 80 some odd minutes long. They could have ditched a few plot points and focused more on story development. And speaking of story development, what was Sally even doing in this movie? Sally had no business being in this movie. She didn't even show up until the last 20 some odd minutes. And when she did show up, she was giving a cheap, sour Laurie Strode impersonation. If you're gonna rip off Halloween 2018, rip off Halloween 2018. All I could think of this entire time was the Melania Trump and Michelle Obama "you copied my homework" thing that was floating around a few years ago on YouTube.
Jack and I were raised with so many of the same values. Like, you work hard for what you want in life. That your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're gonna do.
My parents impressed on me the values that you work hard for what you want in life. That your word is your bond, and you do what you say and keep your promise.
I was just baffled, like, how underutilized this storyline was. Like, this movie was supposed to be about Sally and what she's been doing for 50 years and how she is supposed to be seeking retribution for what Leatherface did to her and her friends. But all we get is Sally flipping down her visor in her car and looking at a Polaroid of the original cast, and then eventually holding a gun and spouting off some stupid dialogue that they rejected from the Halloween 2018 script. Like, why even bother having Sally in this script? If you're going into this movie to see something like that, like, I'm gonna burst your bubble now. You're not going to really get that. And that's probably my biggest disappointment with this film, is that's what I wanted to see. So, another point taken off for that. Anyway, if you stick around after the credits, you are given the impression that there's probably going to be a sequel. If it's headed where I think it's headed, I might be okay with watching it. I think we might get some answers to the questions that I have. At this point, I just don't know if I care that much. I think that what I should have done is I should have watched the first film back to back with this one. It's not to say that it's not fun, because it was okay. Like, I had a little bit of fun with it. I was just nitpicky with it, I think, because I just hold the original so dear to my heart. I think that if you're going to take such a classic and give it the requel or even the sequel treatment, you should really do your homework and watch the original and study it. Give the fans what they want. That's what the directors for the new Scream did. That's what the writers did for that film. And that's why that movie did so well. And I just don't think that that's what these guys did here. I think that they thought that we would want to see a bunch of blood and a bunch of chopped off heads and a bunch of dismembered body parts. And call me crazy and call me wrong. I might be wrong. Leave a comment and let me know that I'm wrong, but I just don't feel wrong here. And whatever. I might have to watch it again. I did just get the box set of the Tales from the Crypt series, and I feel like I should just devote my time to that. And I did also discover that all the Treehouse of Horror episodes are on Disney+, so I feel like my time might be spent better there. I don't know. Either way, you guys, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Oh, let me tell you what I am going to give this on Stanny's Stab-O-Meter. I give this a 2. I think a 2 is fair. It's a little less than half, but I mean, it had the same feel as the original Texas Chainsaw, and the gore was on point. It didn't live up to what I wanted it to be, and that's just putting it bluntly. So that's it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed my 10th video. Leave comments, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next week with another review. Take care for now.